Suhoor, some people miss suhoor. They say, well, I'll sleep instead. Okay? But Rasulullah was very adamant that we actually have the suhoor. He said there is barakah in it, there's blessings and benefits in it, and of course we all know from a medical point of view, the breakfast is the most important part of the most important meal of the day. It gives us the energy that will drive us through, the energy that will keep us awake and really conscious and aware throughout the day. So don't miss the suhoor. In fact, Rasulullah said, this is what makes the difference between our fast and the fast of the Ahlul Kitab. The other day, a few days ago, the director of Christian Muslim Forum, and I'm his line manager, rang me and said, Dr. Musharraf, I've been fasting for the last 3 days. He's a Christian, very good friend, very committed Christian. I've been fasting for the last 3 days. I've not had anything to eat, just been drinking water, and that's it. And I said, SubhanAllah, Allah has blessed us with the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and saved us from the trouble of doing what this friend is doing. And the way of fasting, which Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us, is, brothers, the best way. And that begins with the suhoor and ends with the iftar. And another one is, at the time of iftar, and perhaps during the day, we forget to make dua. Yet, dua is the mukhul ibadah, the Prophet ﷺ said. That this is the essence, this is the real kernel of all kind of worship. Why? Because in prayer, you express your humility, you express your weakness, and you now say, oh Allah, I am completely and utterly dependent on your mercy. Oh Allah, help me. Oh Allah, rescue me. Oh Allah, I am in your hands. Take care of me, oh my Lord. That kind of feeling, that kind of talk with Allah, and that expression of feelings is really the very essence of our deen and very real essence of what Islam is all about. Submitting to Allah, really feeling that closeness and nearness of Allah. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servants ask you about me, tell them I am very near. فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. Whenever any prayerful person calls upon me, I answer, I reply, I listen. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. Therefore, reply and respond. Therefore, listen and have strong faith so that you may be guided. So, brothers, the essence of the prayer. So, and particularly, Rasulullah said, the dua at the time of iftar is the one which is never rejected. He also said that the prayer of father for his children is never rejected either. And so is the prayer of the Muslim never rejected either. So let us, inshallah, get into this mode of making these prayers, okay? And so I was reflecting that perhaps one of the weaknesses I have is I don't pray enough. I don't ask Allah enough. I don't communicate with Allah. I don't express my feelings with Allah enough. Some of us do this in Arabic, which is good. The Quran has at least 24 very powerful du'as. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي. So on and so on. It goes on. Very powerful, beautiful du'as. Try to learn them and also their meanings. But if you can't and you don't understand them sometimes, well, express your own feelings in your own words. Whether it's in Punjabi, whether it's in English, whether it is in Malaysian or Indonesian, express your feelings. For Allah knows every language. No language is a barrier to Allah. He knows our feelings. Okay? So making dua, I think, is also making time for dua. That was the point. And sometimes, I really want to talk to my sisters here, because at Aftari time, they think that they should be really cooking. They should be frying those samosas. They should be really giving out things. No, you shouldn't. You too have the right to be praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this should be really done beforehand. And those last moments of the fast should be spent in prayer. They should be really spent in dua, rather than, making those arrangements. Be organized, 10 minutes before. Who says that your samosas and your pakores and your salad has to be hot and smoky and at that time? Why? Don't you have the right, and don't you feel you should be talking to your Lord as well? Why not? You know, we have these discriminations in our society. And of course, our women have accepted this role of the second-class Muslim, of second-class males of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I just don't know why. Really. They don't want to come to the masajid of Allah because some men have told them off. They don't want to do those good things because some men have told them off that they don't have to do this, they can get away with it. Why? To serve men. I think we really do need to examine this kind of attitude. This is not the attitude of Deen. This is not the attitude of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, there's something else. A lot of us fast, but we perhaps ignore some of the other very important conditions of Sharia. We might not be praying 5 times. That is again big sin, major sin. It is a major sin. If you're fasting, you know, get into this habit of praying. The whole point of fasting is actually to train us to become obedient servants of Allah. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, Allah says. This is the reason. It is a training exercise. And how can you have a training exercise in which you're not obeying the laws? You know, when you're in your driving, learner's seat in the driving car, what happens? You can't say, I'll not obey some of the rules, I'll do some of them. You're going through training, and your trainer expects you to obey every single rule, isn't it? And similarly, brothers, we are undergoing a training in this month, a very important training, a training that will develop us for the next 12 months, inshallah, that will make us morally rich people, spiritually enlightened people, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How could we be disobeying Allah by not praying 5 times? How could we not be reading the glorious Quran in this month? How could we not be giving sadaqah and khairat in this month? We can't do that. The fasting demands this. It becomes even more imminent, more important in this month that we do all these duties. So perhaps, you know, we need to be making sure that we're obeying the whole of the Sharia. And finally, I just thought there are 3 very important and wonderful activities in the month of Ramadan, which we should be doing. Some of us are already doing. Iftar parties. Yes, throw iftar parties. Have them, but don't overdo them. You know, as I previously said, please invite your relatives and friends to your iftar parties. It's really important. It's a social occasion. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged that, didn't he? He says, anybody who helps the other person to open his fast will get the reward of the fasting person. Encouraging us to do that. You know, iftar parties are good things. Do them, but don't overdo them. Why do you have to have 4 or 5 course meals in them? Please, please, make them simple. That is what will really please Allah. That is the sunnah of Rasulullah. And of course, you'll be able to do more of them. Okay, rather than doing one sumptuous one, do 4 small ones where you invite, you know, your friends, neighbors, relatives to those iftar parties. Another way, very important and a beautiful practice in the month of Ramadan is of i'tikaf. I'tikaf literally means to isolate yourself and to do something, do a task assiduously and really with, you know, full attention. And technically, in Sharia, it means actually to confine yourself into the masjid and sit in the masjid and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here is a very beautiful description of what happens in the i'tikaf. You can find this in my soul fasting in Ramadan. It's a very beautiful, I think, captures the feelings and what happens in this month. 20 days have passed now. Your spirituality has now grown. You are closer to Allah. You read the Quran regularly. You pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What happens now? The heart becomes attached to Allah. One attains inner composture and equanimity. The preoccupation with the mundane things of life ceases, and absorption in the eternal reality takes its place. And the state is reached in which all fears, hopes, and apprehensions are superseded in the anxiety for Him, and every thought and feeling is blended with the eagerness to gain the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Devotion to the Almighty is inculcated instead of devotion to the world. Thus it becomes the provision for the grave, where there will be neither a friend nor a helper. This is the lofty purpose of i'tikaf. And this is what happens, brothers. In these 10 days, you just want to be with Allah. in his house, thinking and reflecting on your life. Don't you think you need that time, brothers? We need that rest, all of us, don't we? We desperately need it. I do really urge you, and I do really, it's a wonderful holiday. Okay, you know what holiday means? A holy days. Okay, these are holy days, and that muqaddas. Okay, that's what they are. They are really muqaddas, and muqaddas actually means being near to Allah, in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that feeling you will have, inshallah, for those 10 days. Those of you who can afford to have those 10 days, please make your attention today. It will begin next Thursday evening, inshallah. Those who can't do the full 10 days, why don't you think about doing the weekend? Friday to Sunday. I really do urge you. You'll be a wonderful opportunity of learning. Just imagine you were in the house of Allah. For 10-15 hours you will be learning. 10-15 hours in a day. That is more than 100 hours. That is a full course almost. Okay, so this is equivalent to about 3 modules. Okay, equivalent to almost 100 credits of your university degree. It's so powerful, brother. Sitting in the house of Allah, learning so much, and being in the company of other righteous people as well. And I'm hoping some of you will be making that intention. Will you? Are you here? Yes, and I hope some of you will intend to make a full 10 days. So आप लोग भी जो है इत्काफ की नियत करें और अल्लाह ने ये मौका दिया. And same with our sisters. Muslim women are also expected to do this. Sayyida Aisha radiallahu ta'ala says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do the itikaf in the last 10 days, and his wives followed in that step as well. They also did itikaf. So women should also do the itikaf in their homes, okay, in one of their rooms or corner of their house, wherever it is appropriate. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to examine ourselves very thoroughly, assess ourselves, look at ourselves. Where are we going? Are we achieving the purpose of this? You make so much effort, mashallah. Standing up for nearly an hour and a half at night, getting up very early in the morning, sacrificing your sleep and the best time of sleep as well, all to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do be conscious, aware, do this self-assessment, self-examination. Inshallah, you can, as I said, you can read these 7 tips, valuable tips on our website.